Chosen ones, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Chosen ones, you were surrounded by a bunch of toxic people, mostly your whole entire life. These people were probably members of your family, people in your community, your hometown, who you were around. You were sent to them by the Most High because the Most High showed you the truth. But these people, they could never see your light or understand your truth because they was just way too low vibrational, and they wanted to stay on the same type of nonsense that you had already done outgrew. What happened was you went through experiences that showed you about what would happen when you was disobedient to the Most High. You went through experiences that hurt you. You went through experiences that caused you a lot of pain and suffering. And most of this was due to these people in your life. They was mostly always jealous of you, all of them, since day one. But you didn't really know it, and you wasn't aware of it. But what happened to you was you went through these experiences, and you tried to fit in with them most of your life, to try to be like them, to try to hang with them, to try to, just to try to fit in. And you got caught up because of this. You got into trouble, or you did things that you shouldn't have. This caused you to suffer the consequences for that through the legal system, the courts, and all of that. And you had to face the repercussions of that through whatever you had to deal with, getting fines, having to go to jail or be on probation and all of that. But you learned from your mistakes. That was the difference between you and them. So what you did was you tried to get on a positive level after all of that. Well, you did. You didn't just try, but you did. And you went in on your personal development. You grew and you transformed right in front of the very people who you were always associating yourself with, who were negative people. They didn't like this when this happened. They didn't want to see you this way. They was used to you being the way you were when you was in high school, or when you was on some dumb nonsense. They liked that type of life that you was living when you was like that. But you didn't want to be that way no more because you had already experienced what came from that. So you was working on yourself and you went through this transformation. And then after that, you decided that what you was going to do was clean your life up, make the right choices, the choices that the Most High wanted you to make. And then you was going to, get on a positive level. So you brought something positive to them. Something different, something unique. Because you was created unique to do something unique. Something that nobody else does. Or something that nobody else was doing at the time. But rather than accept you and your positivity and the things that you was on, they laughed at that. They thought it was funny. They thought you was a joke. They didn't really believe in you. A lot of them had reasons for that, because maybe you offended some of them back when you was living in sin and you was doing things bad and you was living in a bad way. And so that's all they could ever remember you as. They refused to believe that you had truly changed. They didn't want to accept that you had truly changed. But you did truly change. And you really showed them, because better than you could tell them, because you had put everything down that you used to do. You had walked away from all of that. Many of you, you had left the clubbing scene and all of that probably since your or your later 20s or something like that, or your early 20s. Some of you had left all of that. You had already outgrew all of that. You wasn't with all of that and all of that partying and everything like that, around all of that noise and people, with chaos and violence and everything like that, and negativity all in them areas. You didn't want to go into those areas no more. You started going into places where it was high vibrational. You started taking time out to wake up early, to rise early, to start jogging or going to the gym. And you started, creating a healthy lifestyle for yourself. You started eating right. You started reading more books and stuff like that. You started learning things. And then you started seeking to draw closer to the Most High. And when you was doing all of that, He revealed a lot of truths to you. He revealed a lot of truth to you about a lot of these fake religions and about a lot of other things going on that you weren't aware of, that you didn't really know about. But this was because you was seeking His face. This was because you was you had transformed, and you were genuine about it, and you were actually doing something about it, as opposed to just saying something about it. Like you had really made strides and efforts and put in work to back up what you were saying. Plus you had, like I said, you had given other things up that you were doing before. And you was doing very well at the time when you was doing all of this. So you tried to use what the Most High had showed you once you knew the truth, you tried to use, your influence to influence them with a positive lifestyle like what you was trying to do. You tried to get them on your type of level, like what you was doing. But they chose to remain the same. And they didn't think that, that you was genuine, or they probably, I don't know what they thought. All I can say is they didn't like what you was doing. Or they were just mad and jealous that they couldn't do what you was doing. And that they was, they was not gonna, take that route. They was just mad because they were unwilling. They were not willing to do what you had did, to put into work, to maybe they tried to a little bit, but then they quickly gave up on all of that. And so you couldn't really get them to stay committed or anything like that. And you might have had some certain, individuals who was in your family or whatever, who they started out, some of them probably was, or one of them probably was starting out to seem like they was for you, but really they were just jealous of you too. So that didn't really work for very long, because they were too jealous of you to really continue to support you or stay consistent with you in what you was doing in your endeavors to better yourself, to make yourself the best version of yourself. So because of this, you really had like a lack of support, and the people in your community was very low vibrational and toxic. So they wasn't gonna support you, and you had probably went to these different churches and religions and stuff like that, looking for the support that you needed. But they was all fake in those churches and in those environments you was going to as well. A lot of them were spiritually dead. There was no Holy Spirit in there. The people in there, their lips was close to the Most High, but their hearts was very far from them. And they played a good role of being who they were in the church, with all their hallelujahs and their praises and all of that, and all of their dances and singing and stuff like that in the church. But they wasn't really about that life. And so you found that out as you was going there, and the people there who was there, who saw you, they saw your genuineness, and a lot of them in there was jealous too, and some of them probably even came to you to criticize you with this spirit of the type of with this like type of spirit of the Pharisee, similar to what happened to Jesus. They tried to find faults with you in the church, or they looked down on you because you had less than while you was going to the church, and they measured you by your socioeconomic status, and they thought to themselves that God was punishing you because you had less than, and that you weren't blessed and stuff like that, because the God of this world had blinded them with the illusion. The illusion is these people think that you're not blessed if you don't have material possessions or if you don't have certain things. So you finally had to, when you were probably offended or hurt by these people, you finally had to leave that environment as well. And you couldn't go back into that environment. So you were pretty much left to fend for yourself by yourself. So this created a very difficult situation for you, because you had to fend for yourself, and you had to worship alone the Most High rather than be surrounded by fakeness. And so this caused you to go through a period of time where you were just kind of lonely and sad because of this, but you still kept going or doing whatever you was doing, or you was doing your work or your job or whatever that you was doing. And then you started your own thing, your own like business and things like that, like you wanted to do. And so then you started focusing more on that and everything like that. But the problem was that the jealousy and the hatred was still there for you even when you was doing that. So you probably started taking a lot more of your time to focus in on your business, and on trying to make that grow, and trying to really focus all your effort into what you was doing with like your personal money making and things like that, what you were doing on your job. And you were really good at that, and you did high quality work and stuff like that, because you're the type of person who you take pride in your work. You really want to be honest and dependable, and you want to do what you say you're going to do, and do it to the best of your ability. And so other people saw this about you as well, these same people who were toxic in your environment, and they didn't like that. They took advantage of you. They saw that you was doing things, and that you were really good at what you were doing, and they were jealous of that too. So then you started going through different things, or whatever, or hardships. And this was the spiritual warfare that was going on during this time. Because the enemy doesn't fight people who don't resist him. The enemy doesn't fight people who stay comfortable in the illusion. The enemy fights people who want to live for the Most High, and who wants to do what's right, and who knows the truth. And a lot of these truths were revealed to you when you was going through the experiences you was going through with these religions, and dealing with all the fakeness and all of that. And I've told you about this, and many of you about this on my channel already before, in many of my previous videos about my experiences with that exposed the truth, and about a lot of things that was surrounding religion and multiple religions and stuff like that. So this led you, or led me into learning about different things about like secret societies and things like that, and different organizations that operate in the shadows that a lot of people don't know about. So you started, reading into all of that and doing your research on a lot of things about that. And you found out a lot of truths about all of that. And then you started understanding what was going on. And you knew that there was a lot of deception going on. And so once you had known all that, then you tried to wake people up to see that. You wanted them to see what you knew. And you tried to tell them about that. You even shared books with them, literature with them, or you shared videos with them that exposed it, and you tried to get them to wake up, but they still could not see what you was trying to show them. And so, you started going through other things with the spiritual warfare, things breaking down, equipment failure. You started having like difficulties with your business and everything like that, and people not wanting to pay you, people taking advantage of you, paying you low pay for the jobs that you had did. It was taking a while. You was having to chase people down to get your money. And then on top of that, you was having them in your community weaponize the Babylon system against you, and send, people up to you to harass you on your job about your business license and things like that. And so this was all part of the spiritual warfare to try to get you to lose your finances, so you couldn't complete your assignment, or to try to derail you from what you were doing on your assignment, your mission from the Most High, to try to reach these people. And you went through hardships and things like that. Then you went through storms. You went through a lot of storms in your life, not just spiritual storms, but physical storms, like actual storms, hurricanes and stuff like that. And you was going through some difficult times in your life, and you were it caused your vibration to become lower. Also, the fact that when you used your talents and your gifts to try to reach these people, and you tried to show them the truth, they rejected you, and they dismissed you, they overlooked you, and they took you for a joke. So this caused you probably to lose self-esteem. It caused you to probably start, feeling feelings of depression, and then this puts you into a low vibration. And as soon as that happened, then that was when, you may have stumbled, and you may have turned to other things to try to alleviate your feelings of discomfort and pain and stuff like that. in your own private battles or stuff like that at your own personal home where you were staying. Maybe you started drinking on the weekends some beer and stuff like that, but you had already experienced enough from your past mistakes that you knew you wasn't going back into the environments where you was going to get mixed up and get into some trouble. But maybe you started having some private battles at your own home, and because nobody is perfect, everybody makes mistakes. And so these people, they saw what was going on with you because they was watching you the whole entire time, unbeknownst to you. And they was, really scrutinizing everything about you. And so they more than likely put your personal business in the streets and gossiped on you and talked about you behind your back. And this caused a lot of people to scrunch their face at you, to look at you all kind of ways, like they was mad at you, and you didn't know what was going on. You just know that whenever you would go out into your community or into the stores and stuff like that to buy things or to do things, you didn't get very good customer service. Some of the people was stank acting towards you when you would say good morning and smile and try to be nice and be friendly to these people. They just had a really bad attitude in the places where you were shopping and stuff like that. And then you just noticed this negative vibration coming off of a lot of people in your community, but you didn't know the reason why. Because you're the type of person, you see, who you mainly just stay in your own lane, you mind your own business, and you do your own thing. You ain't really worried about what everybody else has got going on. You wasn't never really thinking about what other people was doing. But unaware, unbeknownst to you, they was thinking about what you was doing and worrying about what you was doing. And so these people were very toxic who was in your life. And a lot of them, they walked away from you when you was in your struggle, or you had to cut them off completely because you just saw that they wasn't benefiting you in any type of way positive or any type of way that was going to uplift you or encourage you. So you had to cut them off, and God removed them, the Most High removed them from your life. And so it was after all of that, when all of that finally happened, that you was able to finally, take your energy back. You were able to finally regain your peace again. And you were, doing your thing, going back in on yourself. And then after that, they saw that. And this really infuriated them because they knew they was losing control of you again. So for some of you, this may have happened, but for my case, this is what happened. They lashed out at that time and attacked me. And I've done told this story. And this is part of my testimony over here on my channel that I've already done shared with many of you about what happened to me. And I know this is the reason why it happened. They lashed out, they attacked out of jealousy and envy and hatred because they knew they were losing the control and the manipulation. Because these wicked and evil people, they always wanted to keep you small. See, they boxed you in. That everything they did to you was spiritual warfare to corner you, to box you in. So when you saw all that and you became aware of what the games were they was playing with you, and you wasn't playing with none of them no more, after you had cut them all off and others of them had walked away, then you started going back in on what you originally had done the first time, when you first transformed and when you first tried to show them the truth and the light, and they was unwilling to see it. So at that time, after that, is when they attacked you. And like I said, for me personally, this has been since September 25th, 2024, when they shot up my house in a drive-by shooting. And I know for a fact, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that they tried to cover the whole thing up, that they paid the police, they intimidated people to keep their mouth shut so nobody would snitch, and they've made them afraid to stand up and come forward with the truth. So this is the reason why I'm on here and telling my story still to this day, because they think they got away with it. But the Most High knows everything, and He's seen everything they did to you, chosen one. And I know that He's seen everything they did to me. And so they have to stand account for everything they did, because what they was trying to do the whole entire time was trying to stop you from stepping into your destiny, into what God had for you. And they was trying to derail you the whole time. And when all of that failed, everything failed, and they lost their control, this infuriated them. And they were being controlled by Ephesians 6:12, you know, the forces of darkness, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. What we wrestling against out here is the forces, the principalities of darkness, fighting against us and fighting against what we came to bring, the truth we came to bring, to expose this matrix. They didn't like how we was exposing them, so they don't want to be exposed, because they want to keep everyone down. They want to keep everyone in the illusion. They don't want nobody to know the truth. They don't want nobody to break out of this illusion. But these people, they were blinded by the illusion. These low vibrational people who you were surrounded by, and who you've been surrounded by for so very long. These are just very toxic people. But they found out when they came up against you to attack you that the Most High was not playing with none of them. And so the whole thing backfired. And I've done told y'all my whole story. And I should have caught that bullet that night that came into my living room that my mother swept up off the floor the next morning. But I know the Most High preserved my life for a reason. You know, He preserved my life for a reason. So I could be here, so I could come here now and tell my story, and also so that way others could know that when you stand for the truth and for the light, and you refuse to bow or to conform to the toxic people around you, and the toxic people in this world, then they really try to erase you for that. It's because they want to stay in the illusion. They want to stay in the zombie matrix. They don't want to come out of it. But all this time passed by, and everything happened to you the way it happened to you. And I'm just telling my specific story about the way things happened to me. But all of this time passed by for you to learn and to understand just how real spiritual warfare is, and just how many people will smile in your face and pretend that they are for you, but they're really not. they're just many of these people had just came into your life as like a transactional thing. They were only there to use you for what they needed you for, and then discard you like trash when you were finished with you. And so now they fumbled you because you was a diamond sent into their life, and everything they did to you couldn't break you because you're a diamond. It couldn't break you because you're a diamond and because you was too strong. You held up all the pressure. You stood up underneath all the pressure that they sent towards you with all their negativity and their witchcraft and their evil and their spells, their humiliation spells and their death spells and everything they put against you. None of that worked. And so now, since none of it worked, the only thing that can happen is that it has to return back to the sender. Like I said, 100-fold. And it's a wrap for all of them. And it's judgment time for all of them. They must go down now. It's over for all of them. And there's no escape for them. Because you awakened to who you were, you remembered who you were, and you came back to your truth and to your assignment. And you didn't abort your mission. And you're never going to abort your mission. And you're never going to stop. And you're never going to quit for these wicked and evil people. So it's all of their loss now. And maybe now they're starting to come to realize that they were actually dumb for trying to make you look dumb. And many of them are probably in deep regret now. But it's too late for them now. They already had their chance with you. And the way they treated you was what the Most High was watching the whole time. Because you were actually the test that the Most High sent to them. And they failed the test when they did what they did to you when they attacked you. But you passed the test because you didn't retaliate. You didn't take revenge. And you handed them all over to the Most High. And so now, like I said, there's no escape for them. And they have to face the due penalty for what they did to you. And I don't care who they were, even if they were your fake family members. Many of them are going to lose everything for what they did to you. Some of them are probably even going to die. I hate to say that. But that's the case. They're probably going to have strokes or heart attacks, or something bad is just going to happen to them. Because what they tried to do to you was try to destroy your whole entire life. And they tried to ruin your opportunities, block your finances, and stop your relationships so you couldn't have no relationships. And they forced you into isolation. Because you wouldn't conform to what they was trying to get you to do. And you know that it was all a setup. They was trying to set you up for failure. And the proof is when they attacked you. So, I've done told my story. And they even sent people up around here to watch me in my house. And to mind my business. And I know that's what they did. They do this to all the chosen ones. And so now they all must face judgment for what they did to you, chosen one. And you still overcoming them now anyway, and you still doing your thing. You're still doing what you were always created to do. And so, they look dumb now, and you're still, shining anyway, nonetheless. And you're going to continue to grow and do what you got to do to complete your assignment and your mission on your own. And so anyway, that's the message today. So I hope this message helps someone out today. I know I went for a long time on this video, but I had to tell my story and share, and I have to share, continue to share my testimony every day about this, because they think they got away with it. They think they got away with everything they did to us. And they shot up my mama's bedroom walls, and she's 84 years old. And they put smoke in our house. And I done told the story. I had to dive bomb in my hallway. And after all of this happened, and this is a small community where everybody knows everybody. So you can't tell me that they don't know what happened. No, they know what happened. They just ain't talking. But I know that because I'm able to put 2 and 2 together. Because I'm not dumb. So I know what happened. And God knows what happened. And there's no way they're going to get away with it. They're not getting away with it. And so I don't care how long it's been. I know one thing. I'm definitely not going to quit telling my story. And I'm definitely not going to give up for these wicked and evil people. I'm going to continue to tell my story every day on my channel. Because I have to let other people know. Because what they wanted was nobody to know. They thought that they could hide everything that happened and hide what they did to me, and that nobody in the whole world would ever know about it ever again. Because they see me as being alone here, and they think that they've already won. They think they've got me cornered. And they think that they've already defeated me. But little do they know, they have not defeated me. Because I know what the word tells me in Psalm 149:4, and 1 Corinthians 15:57, and Romans 8:37, and Romans 8:31. If God is for me, who can be against me? And if God is for you, who can be against you, chosen one? And Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. All right? So anyway, that's the message for this video. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right there. But as always, chosen ones, peace, love, light, blessings to you all. Hold on, stay strong. It ain't over till it's over. All right? And you're going to keep doing your thing. And you're going to keep winning right in front of them. Even after everything they did to you to try to destroy you. Because you know you are, and because you know you a winner. All right? So till the next one, I'm out. Catch y'all all on the next one. Peace. I'm out.